Welcome,
Yeah.
everybody. So, kicking off today's webinar, I wanted to give a quick introduction about us. If you've not heard of us before, we are Arbor. We're a new content platform designed to help scale comms and marketing teams who need to get more out of their video. So, today's goal is going to be actually showing one of the strategies that we've been seeing work super well for a number of our customers, which is repurposing some of these great webinars that we're all hosting and actually turning that into amazing social content, but doing that without spending all of your time trying to go back and edit these videos. So these webinar series are going to be designed to be pretty interactive. So if you have any questions, if you want to connect with us offline, we're more than happy to help and kind of give some of this advice for what we're seeing work in the space. And today, what we're going to do is actually go through one of the examples that we've done at Arbor that our CEO did for a webinar recently and show you how we are cutting it up. So with that, my name is John. You've probably gotten the emails directly from me. I run our partnerships here at Arbor, and I'm going to hand things over to Paul, who is going to actually run today's session. So Paul, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Thank you, John. Hey, everyone. I'm Paul Najmabani. I'm production lead and training specialist here at Arbor. I come from a background in film and television editing, where I spent the last 20 some years, I'm not going to say how many, doing that. But today's session is all about what happens after that webinar ends and how to turn those great conversations into content that keeps working for you. I always like to think of this as giving your webinar a second life and maybe even a third. So every week we host calls, webinars, brainstorms, and then those recordings just sit on a drive, never being touched again. But inside one authentic hour of conversation are weeks of content. You can do posts, blogs, newsletters, even podcast clips. And repurposing isn't just extra work, it's smarter work. It's about multiplying the impact of what you're already doing. I think of it like this. One webinar equals 3 social clips plus a blog post. It's a month worth of visibility. So you've already done the hard part, right? You shared your expertise live. You're just repurposing it and it keeps the value moving. So one webinar doesn't end when you hit leave meeting. A single conversation can be a month's worth of video posts, blogs, and insights. It's not about getting, it's all about getting more mileage out of, and excuse me, I got a little tongue-tied there. Repurposing is getting more mileage out of the ideas and time you've already invested. So why does repurposing actually work? Because it's not about convenience, it's about impact. When you repurpose, you're doing 4 powerful things at once. You're saving time, building trust, staying visible, and staying relevant. And together, they can make a really big difference. First, let's go over efficiency. Every time you run a webinar, you're already generating content. You just haven't unlocked it yet. Instead of spending another 5 hours brainstorming social posts, you can lift 10 strong moments from a single session. This means you can show up online consistently without doubling your workload. You know, when people say, I don't have time for content, this is how you get that time back. Next is authenticity. Real conversations outperform polished campaigns every single time. When your audience sees the actual you, unscripted, answering questions, laughing, thinking, they connect with that. Repurposing pulls out those genuine human moments that no marketing copy could ever fake. And that's what makes it trustworthy. Then we've got consistency. Showing up regularly is half the game, but it's also the hardest. Repurposing gives you a system for staying present when you're busy. It turns your webinars into a built-in content engine. When you post consistently, your audience starts to expect value from you, and that's when trust really begins to build. And finally, relevance. If someone asked a question during your webinar, you can bet there are 100 more people out there who are wondering the exact same thing. Clipping and sharing those answers means you can speak directly to what your audience cares about right when it matters the most to them. And that's what makes your content feel timely instead of repetitive. That's just how small teams scale their visibility without growing their workload. And John, I was going to throw to you here. I think you have a really good example of this we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so we've been working. Oh, God, let me spotlight myself here. So I'm So we've been working with a number of organizations, and while today we're going to talk about webinars, basically what we're finding in this era in which AI can generate anything out of thin air, like Paul said, the stuff that is the most relevant, the most authentic, is typically us talking to the camera. So when does that happen? Good news is that capturing that content has gotten easier than ever. Zoom call like today, we're going to actually just record it. We have a candid conversation. And we're able to pull out those insights. So I got a number of organizations, including our own, where we're recording everything, whether that's a webinar, could be a sales prospecting conversation with a potential new customer, could be something that we're actually recording a current customer, getting feedback on the work that we delivered. A lot of the time, those testimonials, that unique insight is like the most candid and most authentic right the first time they say it, as opposed to trying to create a whole production around it. So if you actually go on my LinkedIn, I can share it out after the webinar. I had a great conversation with a prospect about 2 weeks ago. The same day, they gave me a great quote around how impressed they were with the product and that it was more than what they expected from coming in from our website. I was able to just pull out that clip in about 30 seconds, mask that person's face with video overlays, and have a really interesting soundbite to be able to hand out to prospects. Super genuine, super authentic, and it took me about 15 minutes to do, as opposed to trying to come up with a whole bunch of new creative. So as you think about this, what I find and encourage everyone to do is just start thinking through of like what video can we capture. So if you're not actually recording this stuff, go ahead and throw in what any of these free note takers or make sure you're just clicking record. And then let AI go through and help do some of this hard work to surface some of those insights. So that's what we're going to go through next. So Paul, handing it back to you.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go over like the things you should look for in those webinars, right? So when you rewatch a webinar, you can listen for 5 things: quotes that summarize the big idea, stories that make it human, questions that reveal the audience pain points, frameworks, that's any of those like step 1, step 2 types of explanations, and opinions. Your bold takes and contrarian ideas are super important. If you ever think that was a great point, mark it, because that's usually a really great clip. Um, and John, we were talking about this earlier too. You were saying that companies sometimes don't realize that they have this already.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure, like myself, a lot of you have been in conversations with leadership, with prospects, and usually that have that aha moment of like, oh, that was awesome. We should either make content about that or I wish I had that soundbite. And so now the good news is it's actually easier than ever to be able to pull those pieces out. So again, thinking through things that we have recorded, sales calls, interviews, a lot of the times internal team meetings are actually super fascinating. So even if you just get the leadership team talking about what's relevant and top of mind, the thing that we're seeing work really well in the marketplace right now is these pure insights and opinions from our leadership about the industries that we work in. Everyone's seeing this stuff in the news, but the really interesting insight is what are the other leaders thinking about, thinking of doing? What's the plan? So being able to go through and mine those different calls for insights, super valuable for content creation today.
Yeah. And we should talk about with that where to share these clips, right? Because it's a really big opportunity. So did you know that only about 1% of LinkedIn users post weekly, which means visibility on LinkedIn is wide open. So if you post a short, real moment from your webinar, especially one that answers a question, you'll stand out immediately. The key is to keep it human, conversational, and authentic, and not overly produced. I say this far too often, but in my experience, perfect is the enemy of good. You're trying to just be too perfect. You're just eating into your authenticity.
Absolutely. The other two pro insights I'm going to share with you today, if you take nothing else from this call, this will work phenomenally well for LinkedIn. Number one, the algorithm really loves people. So they are always going to make sure that that post goes further if it comes directly from Paul as a person, as opposed from Arbor's page as a brand. So kind of pro tip here is that the good news, you typically have an army. Everyone who's on your team, anyone who's a staff member, volunteers, etc., you can use all those folks to help amplify that message. So what we're finding other really interesting piece about the LinkedIn algorithm right now, if you haven't noticed, they've been making a massive push for video. They're seeing the same thing of this TikTokification of content. It's a great medium that keeps human attention, and human attention keeps people on LinkedIn, which then lets them serve us more ads. Kind of the pessimistic view of it all. The positive opportunity for this is that you can really stand out by producing video. Only 1% of people are posting like at all weekly, and probably less than 1% are even posting video on top of that. So the algorithm is really hungry for this type of content. So last pro tip, if you do decide to do video, whether it's simple crop off a webinar, could be just a quick iPhone selfie, go ahead and try to post it in horizontal view. This is going to be a little bit against the recommendation of what LinkedIn has been saying publicly. We've done a bunch of tests internally and watching some of the other kind of masters of the LinkedIn algorithm in this space. Horizontal video is performing a lot better because it shows up differently in the mobile feed. So it still actually sees the LinkedIn text post on top of that video. I think they will eventually fix that, and vertical will probably win over time. But for now, Paul has been preaching horizontal for years, and it's definitely coming true right now in the actual success.
I'm feeling just a little validated, and I realized I was a little out of touch because everybody was doing vertical, and I was like, but horizontal looks better. And for now, LinkedIn's got my back on this. So
Yep. And so one of the best ways we've been finding for folks that go through and try to pull out these clips, there's a whole bunch of these clip producers that have been flooding the market, that have been promising folks of like, hey, we can go pull out the interesting insights. Curious in the chat, has anyone actually tried to use any of these clip producers? Would love to hear your experience. But the main thing is that we tried them all. We started out as an agency ourselves. We were editing, using all of these things, and the tools really fell short of the promise. Kind of for one fundamental reason. They were all made for podcasters and influencers who are just trying to search for virality. So for brands like us who cared about our brand, our positioning, and had a very specific message, it just didn't quite find the right stuff. And so that's what we decided to reverse engineer this and build it ourselves. And so Paul's actually going to walk you through how our clip producer works here at Arbor.
Yep. All right. Yeah. So Arbor, we do have a great way to streamline this process, right? It's called AI Producer, and it's built to help you go from long form content to short shareable clips fast. So you upload your webinar, you tell it what you're looking for, how long you want your clips to be, what themes you want to highlight, and the AI producer will scan your recording and find the moments that best fit what you asked for. Now, you're still setting the creative direction. AI is just helping surface the best material so you can focus on shaping the story and adding polish. In a few minutes, you've gone from a full-length recording to a few strong branded clips ready to share. And now that we've talked about how easy it is to make those social clips, I want to take it a step further, because also in Arbor, since we've got our clip and we've got that single moment, we can have that travel across different formats using our AI features. So your video can also become a blog post, something that expands on the idea you shared in your clip. Maybe you can add context, a takeaway, a link back to your full webinar. You could also pull a social caption, a few lines that capture the heart of your message. And really, that's all you often need to start a conversation on LinkedIn, right? There's also, you can create these quote graphics. They're simple and clean and shareable, and they perform really well because they're quick to understand and easy to repost. And with that, I kind of want to jump into, to show you a demo of how we do this in our platform, just walking through those. So let me do a screen share here real quick. Sorry, a little screen housekeeping going on here. Share my sound. There we go. Okay, is everybody able to see that okay?
It is popping up now. We got, looks a little bit grainy on my screen, Paul. It's a little clear, and there we go. Looks like it just loaded.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay. Thanks for the thumbs up, Robert. Okay, cool. So here we are in the Arbor platform, right? We're starting out, actually, we have kind of 4 modules here. We're going to start out in the content studio. We've already uploaded a webinar here. This one you can see running about 57 minutes, 43 seconds. So long. A big ask to just throw on the net and say, hey, people, go back and watch this, unless you're really, really into it, right? But we want to pull some of that real, authentic content out of here. So with Arbor, it's as simple as this. I've got my video here. I'm just going to hit produce clips. I'm going to get this dialogue. This is going to ask me for some info about what I want. Right? I've got these themes built in here. By the way, in Arbor, these are customizable, so you can build your own themes in that you want to just click and go with. For this one, I could share thought leadership. Maybe there's something specific in this that I know that I want to pull out. So thought leadership about digital comms, right? I could do the two of those together. I can do them separately as well if I want to. I can say the approximate length. This is just a target. If I select 30, maybe it'll be 15, maybe it'll be 45, whatever is the full clear story here. We also have the ability to set up target goals and audiences for your organization specifically. So you can really, really target this clip to who you want to speak to, right? So I could get in here and I could say, let's see, I want to expand my nonprofit client base as my goal, and I want to talk to nonprofit marketing professionals. We also, if you have a video that has multiple speakers, have the ability to switch out to separate out those speakers, so you could target one speaker specifically. I didn't do this for this one. We're just focusing on one speaker this time. So, and I'm going to hit produce. And it's really as simple as that. It's kind of working in the background here. This is an almost hour clip. Even sitting here waiting for it to pull out some clips from us is way faster. And I'm going to say hours faster than what I might have done as a longtime video editor. I always say that, like, if I have an hour webinar to work with, that's at least 3 hours of watching it down, pulling out clips, things like that. The AI producer is now doing this for me in minutes.
And the magic of what is happening during this in the background, so everyone understands, AI is actually really bad at watching video, how all of us think about watching it. It's not really like trying to pay attention to Paul and the frames on the screen. Fundamentally, what's happening is that we're able to turn webinars into transcripts. And so that's kind of the key to this entire workflow here, is that human beings speaking on camera, their words are written down, and AI is phenomenally good and crazy fast at understanding those words. So the magic that we did was being able to tie a transcript to a video. But even if you don't use a tool like Arbor, if you're able to get a transcript of your webinar, running it through any of these AI tools and being able to go find these little moments can be that same workflow. We're just trying to present a way that can do it a lot faster and save you time switching between those tools.
Yeah, this way you're going directly to the video, as opposed to jumping around between different tools. So yeah. And you can see here it pulled 27 clips based on the criteria I gave it. You'll see here we have these little numbers at the top. This is our little grading system. The AI has graded these clips. If I hover over it, it's giving me an impact score. It's an aggregate of the way the AI is perceiving the relevance, the engagement, uniqueness, my audience, and my goal. This is out of 100. I find this is great for choice paralysis. 27 clips is no small amount of clips to go through, right? So maybe in this case, I'm going to be like, you know what? If it's under 95, I'm just going to skip it for now, and I'll stick with everything that's 96s and 97s. I have the ability to read through the transcript here. I can play the clip if I want.
Hi everyone. I lead organic social.
I can also, actually, one of the things that I always do is these titles are actually pretty good. AI does a great job of titling these, so I know exactly what I'm going to get out of here. So I can kind of go through that and decide, okay, out of what I've asked for, AI is a social media brainstorm partner. That's great. I can select that clip and I can click save as a clip. I could select multiple clips, right? I could save them all as separate clips. So this way you can go through and grab all of those moments all at once for an entire month of content or more. Honestly, with 27 stories generated here, you could have quite a bit of content. I can also, if I had two clips that I wanted to join together, I can combine those clips. But here we're just going to save as a clip right now. And it's It's generating. Give it a minute. Again, still working faster than me doing this. And so, yeah, it's just parsing it. There's one thing I always like to say about having AI do this is, have you ever heard the old adage that the thing that a writer is most terrified of is a blank page? We're having AI help us eliminate that blank page. You're still in control. It's just eliminated the blank page for you, so you have a great jumping off point. And that's where we kind of jump in here, right? We've got this clip, but maybe I need to go in and like just finesse it a little bit, right? So I can hit edit here, and that's going to take us into the Creator Studio, which I hope this is not terrifying for anybody, but it looks like more like a traditional nonlinear editor, but with a lot of non-traditional features that just make this easier to tackle. So you're not having to become a professional editor just to go ahead and work with this, right? We have our clip down here, and I have our full transcript of our clip up here. I can kind of look through it and be like, okay, is this telling the story I want? Maybe not. Maybe I want to add a little bit more into it. I can click this X strike through up here, and now I have my entire transcript. The red is basically the video that's not represented on the timeline. And I can decide to bring stuff back. So, maybe I decide, this is a great clip, but I wanted her to go just a little bit further, to finish this up. I could highlight that, click restore. I've now added the video back onto the timeline down here. It is now representing this entire clip. What I like about this is it kind of turns video editing into closer to what we're used to using word processors. And I'm going to guess, I'm going to go out on a limb and say everybody here has played around with Word. Everybody here has played around with Pages, depending on what platform you're on. This is moving closer to that, so that you're not having to, watch the video and like kind of get that concept in your head of where everything is. You can just look right here in the transcript to do that. And just pointing out too, we can take stuff out too. If I decided, the sentence in the middle not helping me out, I'm just going to go ahead and remove it, and it gets actually cut out. Everything gets sandwiched together, and we're good to go. So once we have one of those clips ready to go, we can, back to our content studio here. It's ready to go. We can start sharing that clip. Right. I can share it directly to socials. If I have my social profile set up here, I could download it. But it's ready to be shared with either internally or externally. But that's not where this stops either, right? We can then start those other things I talked about, right? That copy that kind of goes with it. We can start creating stuff around that, right? Now that we've got our clip done, let's create a social post for it. So I'm going to click social post right here, and I'm going to have it generate a social post. And let's see, what did we do? We said thought leader. Oops. Sorry about my typing skills, everybody. Oh my gosh. Thought leadership, and what did I say? Digital comms. There we go. Again, I can bring in those goals and those audiences that we had before. We can even set up your specific brand voice, so it will write in the voice that's worked best for you, that works best for your brand. And I'm just going to hit generate. And here we go. Generating a social post. Again, blank page eliminated. But you have full control over this, right? So you can go in, you can, cut out anything you'd like, remove it. You can also just regenerate. So what if I said, you know what, this is too long. Make it shorter. Regenerate that. This works in the macro as well. If I just wanted to say, make it funny, it does a pretty good job of doing that. Kind of like just talking to an editor as copy editor, sorry, as you kind of go back and forth on this. We also have the ability, I think this one's really cool to show, is creating articles and blogs. Generate that. Let's see. We're going to do, how about a blog post? Again, hit those goals. We can also, again, set up customizable one-click themes in these as well, just like we saw in some of the other dialogues here. There we go. Amplifying nonprofit impact with AI and a new era of storytelling. Yeah, and this is just kind of laying it out, trying to keep it in your brand, in your voice. But this way, you're not starting from scratch. You're kind of editing something that's already written, but has already been written with your voice in mind. And you can share those directly.
Awesome.
Yeah, so this is just good at getting you close. If your editor, you still have full control to edit it. And if you need to dial it in, you can dial it in specifically to your brand.
Awesome, Paul. Thanks for walking us through that. And so, main picture here is all about the idea of making this customizable to your specific brand. So, I like to say in the world right now, there's kind of two diverging paths with AI. A lot of folks who are becoming the iRobot brand, who are saying AI is going to just do everything and take away all the creative work. We're trying to build for the actual operational creatives. So, I call us the Iron Man suit, where we still want to have a human who is in the loop here, is able to touch and tweak any of these individual prompts and just accelerate their workflow. We had a couple great questions come up in the chat too. So, Charlie, I just want to touch on this really quick. For storing in the platform, we are pushing everything up into the cloud. So we're built on top of AWS. We're in the process of getting SOC 2 compliant. So building out those flows to make sure that your data stays your data. We're not training the AI models on any of your videos. It is simply using this in a workflow to help accelerate the content team. So happy to go into details on that. Any specific questions or concerns around where data will be stored, happy to chat through that. And then the goal for this is that that video content that you put into the platform is evergreen. So it can stay in the platform, it lives in the cloud. That means whether or not Paul and I are still at Arbor, anyone can access it and it's locked away on Paul's hard drive or on my computer and kind of lost in the internet forever. So hand it back over to you, Paul.
Yeah, I just really, really want to touch on that, something you just touched on there, John, one more time. Which just reiterating this, because I think this is really important because you hear this discussion a lot, right? AI isn't doing all the work for you here, as we've just seen, right? You're still the creative driving force. You're the editor, the copywriter, the storyteller. And so I've been an editor for over 25 years. In my career, I always had an assistant editor. So if I needed clips pulled, just like this, right, for social post or a project, they'd find those strong moments. I'd give it to them so I could focus on other tasks that were more important for me at the time. And then I'd step in to shape and refine the pacing and make sure it's telling the story that I wanted. And that's exactly how I see Arbor's AI producer here. It's like that assistant. It's just helping you find and prep the good material so that you can focus on crafting something really great. It just helps you move faster, but you're still the creative at the helm.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for walking us through that, Paul. All right. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, guys.